Hello, my name is Jake DeHaan, and this is my final presentation for my C392 class. I've chosen to do this presentation over 2014's The Babadook, which was written and directed by Jennifer Kent. This was her first full-length motion picture. It is starring Essie Davis as Amelia and Noah Wiseman as Samuel. Piping Hot Views, a prominent IMDb reviewer, summarized the film nicely by saying, Amelia, who lost her husband in a car crash on the way to give birth to Samuel, their only son, struggles to cope with her fate as a single mom. Samuel's constant fear of monsters and his violent reaction to overcome the fear doesn't help her cause either, which makes her friends distance themselves. When things cannot get any worse, they read a strange book in their house about the Babadook monster that hides in dark areas of their house. Even Amelia seems to feel the effects of the Babadook, and desperately tries to destroy the book, but in vain. The nightmarish experiences the two encounter form the rest of the story. Although the film does many things well, and it is one of the most refreshing horror films in almost a decade, I believe the Babadook is not the masterpiece moviegoers are claiming it is. The film does a lot of things exceptionally well, but it does make a handful of sound and visual mistakes, poorly written scenes, and then I will look into if this film is really scary at all, or just an unsettling thriller. There are a handful of visual moments, either through sloppy editing or poorly choreographed scenes, that are either inexcusable or downright frustrating. YourMovieSucks.org, a prominent YouTube review channel, points out in the scene where Samuel is trying to impress his mother by climbing to the top of a swing set, it is clearly noticeable that this shot is just one rung angled for each rung he climbs on the swing set, rather than filming him doing the whole set. This is shown by having the rest of the set out of focus behind Samuel. Way too often in the film, Samuel is caught smiling rather than being terrified. This is a common issue for child actors, but after seeing films that have been able to do this successfully, I feel as though these scenes should have been redone. The birthday scene of Amelia's niece contains to me the most inexcusable editing of the film. After an argument with the girl whose birthday it is and Samuel, the argument turns nasty and Samuel pushes her out of the treehouse where the argument originated in. The scene is so sloppily done for quite a few reasons. The girl is shoved in what looks like a very soft and unrealistic push. The girl somehow manages to spin a complete 180 degrees before falling, and is smiling to boot. The scene cuts to her on the ground, and she lifts her head to show an already pouring nosebleed. Although the film uses sound effects really well throughout, the film uses a handful of stock sound effects that were most notably used as well in Resident Evil. The film should have been much more aware of this, as there's bound to be a lot of crossover in fan base. Towards the beginning of the film, Samuel tells a store clerk blatantly that his father died taking his mother to the hospital on the way to deliver him.
Daddy, though, haven't we?
My dad's in the cemetery.
Oh, that's
He got killed driving Mom to the hospital to have me.
Samuel.
The opening sequence, Amelia is in a representation of the car crash. The scene is extremely well done, and for the film to throw away all hinting and blatantly have Samuel confess to a total stranger that his father died as a result of his birth is inexcusable. It is quite obvious from the beginning of the film that the dog will die. For a film to use the already overused dog plot device, it just seems completely unoriginal. For a film that is being hailed as extremely innovative, I could have done without the dog entirely. Lastly, I'm going to look into, is the film really scary? I found this to be the most suggestive horror film since the Blair Witch Project. Many find this film ranging from boring to intense to downright frightening. I think I fell somewhere in the middle. This is what the film did well. I found that this film did a lot of things really well when it came to building a great atmosphere. One of the best reoccurring scenes in the whole film is Amelia's readings of the Babadook. Her gentle pace and rhythmic voice has a very unsettling nature. Along with the insect-like undertones and drones, these might be the best scenes of the entire film.
His name is Mr. Babadook, and this is his book.
The bedroom intrusion scene is one of my favorite of the entire film, and although I have some issues with it, I feel as though it was executed fairly well. The bug noises and the clicking noise the Babadook makes as it runs across the ceiling adds great suspense. Now on to the bad. I found that this film did really well when it came to building suspense, but it never really climaxed on it. I felt like there were a lot of missed opportunities. Secondly, I feel as though the Babadook could have looked much better. In the book, it appeared to be so much more menacing. To me, it's just a guy with white face paint, a top hat, and a trench coat. Not too scary. Lastly, the ending had a very Home Alone feel to it, with Samuel using homemade devices against his violent mother. In conclusion, I'll ask, was the film really effective? Probably. For most people, I think this film actually is effective. However, for me, not so much. Its usage of music, lighting, and for the most part its cinematography was really good, and certainly above average for most modern horror films. What could have made the film better was more time seeing the Babadook, and have him more accurately portrayed as he was in the book. Redoing a few of Samuel's scenes and having a better coach on set would have really enhanced the film and kept me more engaged in the atmosphere it created. What this semester taught me is that innovation does not equal good filmmaking, and the Babadook falls right into this category. Jennifer Kent tried to do something completely different, and for the limited budget and lack of experience, Kent did do a fairly good job, but I don't feel like it warranted the 97% it got on Rotten Tomatoes. I hope you enjoyed my presentation over the Babadook. I'd also just want to say I had a very nice time over this semester, and I hope to take another one of your film classes. So take care, and have